the fighting nerds, have now suffered 2 extra losses this year as a result of UFC Fight Night France ending yesterday. Earlier this year, Carlos losing to Ian Gary, so 3 losses in 2025. A whole different outlook or visual compared to just last year, where they were all undefeated, crazy KOs. Granted, they were all cans. Let me just say, a bunch of you are jumping ship and are calling these guys frauds now because they're losing to ranked fighters now. Let me just put it this way. If you are not a fan now and you're calling them frauds, if you were a fan before, you were never a fan. I'm just gonna say it. I chose against Rufy and I chose against Kyle. I was never a big fan of fighting nerds, but even then, calling these guys frauds is probably extremely stupid, like just pure idiocracy. Now, let me just go over just simple points as to why saying these guys are frauds or just don't have any wrestling at all, Let me just put it this way. The average ranked fighter, even from rank 15 to rank 1, probably have like around a minimum of 5 years into the UFC. An average. These guys are like 1 or 2 years into the UFC on average. Kyle has like around 4 years. He's been in the UFC the longest. He has 4 years in the UFC. That's still very, very new. Very, very new. Them losing to a one time in the UFC is nothing. This is not boxing. Even boxing is starting to grow out of that fad of, if you lose, you're not good anymore. There's plenty of fighters that were still relevant after losing an O in boxing, like Ryan Garcia, Canelo losing to Bivol, and plenty of other fighters. Like boxing is starting to outgrow that. No clue why that type of mentality is starting to infect MMA. Like there's plenty of fighters that got called frauds after losing one time in the UFC. Joe Pyfer, Peyton Talbot, and there's plenty of other fighters out there I can think of. I mean, I can't think about right now, but just those quickly came to my mind. Losing one time in the UFC does not mean you are a fraud. Even Ian Gary, that guy that beat Carlos Prates, almost subbed Shavkat. If he subbed Shavkat, both were O at the time. Both were going to take each other's O. If Shavkat lost to Ian Gary by submission, he would have, dude, you know how much hate Shavkat would have lost? What have gotten? He would have been called a fraud, but he's just by those little milliseconds of a decision making, he decided to let me keep on holding out right now, and he survived the submission. He was able to win, but there was a big window there that he was gonna get submitted and it was gonna get ruined. And Ian Gary was gonna now be seen as like a world beater, the next champ. But that's the same Ian Gary that beat Carlos Prates. Think about it. That's the same Ian Gary that went one fight later went on to out wrestle Carlos Prates, the guy that almost subbed Shavkat. Now Shavkat himself has really amazing wrestling. He's probably seen as one of the best grapplers in the welterweight, alongside Sean Brady and Belal. Okay, so like Carlos Prates losing, getting out wrestled by Ian Gary is not horrible. There's still, and also, who's to say he can't be a champ in 1 or 2 years? Just by improving his grappling. We see it time and time again. These strikers lose to, like, let's say, have horrible grappling performances, like say JDM against what's his name, Burns, and then stuffing all of Belal's takedowns and just beating up Belal. Carlos Prates could literally go through the same transformation, just work on his grappling, work on his defense takedowns and everything, and then just go on to KO these guys. That's very possible. The same thing for Kyle. Kyle can literally be like, let me just improve my striking. Let me just go be a better well-rounded next time and just become champ next, John Silva still undefeated. In the horizon, we have John Silva versus Diego Lopez main event next weekend. I got John Silva. I think John Silva beats Diego. For right now, I haven't really been. I'm still doing the film study. Maybe I change my mind tomorrow when I make my video, or 2 days from now, whenever I do that. John Silva can literally become champ by the beginning of next year. He beats Diego and then fights for the title next year. Like, let's say in February, he fights whoever's champ next by then. or whatever. He can only become champ within that just a quick time frame. And he can be like, oh, fighting nerds are back, especially after Rufy, Protest, Kyle go on like win another fight after losing. This makes no sense. I don't get any of this. There's there's plenty of chance right now. Like, listen, right? Yes, we are now seeing a different level of MMA fighters right now. A bunch of them are currently undefeated in the UFC as champs. There's Tom Aspinall. There's JD. I think JDM's undefeated in the UFC. I think he's lost a couple times in the regionals. Tom Aspinall lost a couple times in the regionals. Hamza is notoriously undefeated. Ilya is notoriously undefeated. Volk has lost and is now champ. So there's a big window for John Silva to become champ. And there's plenty of Pantoja has lost. There's plenty and Merab has lost. Like literally, is not losing one time in the UFC. Doesn't make any sense. And also, let me go to the Rufy point. Rufy losing to BSD via grappling. The striker losing to the grappler and grappling. And also, this is the same grappler that out grappled BSD. I mean, BSD out grappled Poirier, and Islam was having a harder time grappling Poirier. BSD was having a much easier time. And granted, Poirier was able to survive, and then went on to chin BSD, and Islam went on to submit Poirier. But Poirier, it was past the third round. You know, BSD and Poirier was only a 3-rounder, I think, right? If it was a 5-rounder, then anyways, but I don't remember. But anyways, like I said, in the pure grappling, BSD is probably one of the best grapplers out there. And I already said this in my predictions. BSD losing to Moicano, in my opinion, was a huge fluke. You know, Moicano got this quickly rolled the dice and just able to get BSD down and landed that elbow that had a huge effect on the fight outcome, because BSD went on to literally was beating up Moicano on the feet with one eye. And then the doctor stopped the fight. So, like I said, horrible stoppage in that. I mean, it was a good stoppage, but horrible outcome on BSD's end, because he was actually defending all Moicano's takedowns and went on to outstrike Moicano with one eye. So, like I said, you guys all look at resumes. You guys all look at what happened in the last fight, and you guys don't really think about the rest. The fighting nerds are still very good. I chose against these two guys because I think the BSD and Imavov are literally just that good. It's not that these guys are bad. It's just the guys that we're going up against were really good. And there was question marks. There was question marks for Rufy as grappling. These guys could. There's something called improving as well. Like, there's something called improving. Literally, Islam Makhachev went on to get straight up KO'd, sent to the Shadow Realm by some no name, and then went on to become undefeated. I mean, went on to go on a crazy win streak, crazy finishes, and dominant champ. Granted, a bunch of people call his reign a little bit fraudulent, but bro, he beat Volk twice. Like that, you can't, don't fall for that narrative. You think beating Volk twice is not good. That is very good. Anyways, yeah, let me just quickly let me just go to the resumes just to go further, prove further. It just doesn't make any sense what you guys are talking about. Okay. Kyle lost once right here, 2015. Crazy win streak, lost once. How is losing once after a crazy win streak mean he's horrible? He's a fraud. He's never gonna touch the belt. Listen, Kamzat, that is kind of unfair for these guys, because I don't think Imavov nor Kyle are gonna become champ because of Kamzat, not because these guys are bad. So yeah, but I mean, he beat Paul Craig, Uzmagomedov, Ozechik. Some of these names are not bad. Like, it's not impressive. Kyle, in my opinion, is the weakest link when it comes to the whole fighting nerds in their respective weight classes. So it's not what I'm talking about. Is not. I'm not giving a huge service to Kyle, but Carlos Prates lost to Ian Gary, who, like I said, has underrated grappling, and went on to straight up send Jeff Neal to the Shadow Realm. Who's to say Rufy can just go on a crazy win streak after losing to BSD? If not, if he one day rematches BSD, he could be BSD by then. You know, these are things that are very possible because these guys are literally that good. Losing one fight doesn't mean you lose everything. These, like, recency bias is crazy when it comes to fans. A lot of you switch up so bad. Literally, Hamza, the undefeated champ right now, literally was called a fraud trick at one point when he wasn't dominating Burns and he wasn't dominating Usman. These guys lose once and now they're all frauds. Bro, I don't get some of this stuff. Rufy, King Green, this was a crazy performance. Now, granted, Rufy has probably the worst resume out of all these guys because up until King Green, everybody before King Green are straight up nobodies, no noteworthy wins or nothing. King Green has a couple of decent wins himself, you know, Grant Dawson. So it is a decent win. And then he straight up lost to BSD. So when it comes to resume, Rufy does have the worst resume. But he probably has the best striking, like, at lightweight. Like, one of the, like, top 3 strikers at lightweight. It's just his grappling he's got to work on. And, I mean, who's to say he literally can go on to become a better grappler than... I mean, who's to say he can improve his grappling to the point where he could easily defend the BSD. And also, there was points where Rufy was out rolling BSD. He was getting out on top of BSD, and he also got on his feet. Like, these are, like, just because BSD got the submission on Rufy doesn't mean there was moments where Rufy was out wrestling BSD. There was moments in the fight he was wrestling. He was out wrestling and could have landed ground and pound on BSD, but he got up, made BSD stand up, and then BSD took him down again. So there's moments Rufy was on top position and could have done something. I don't know what he was thinking, because in my opinion I was like, oh, if you're gonna win, you could have taken advantage of the moment and ground the pound a chinny BSD. Like, let's be honest. I don't know what he was thinking. That was kind of stupid on his end. But yeah, he has a much higher skill ceiling than just losing at BSD. He could, like I said, he has a very high skill ceiling. He's big at lightweight. He's big, like, strong. So, and that's the thing. John Silva is also big. I mean, he's not big, but he is very strong he is very thick at featherweight. I mean, he did fight at lightweight before John Silva, so, you know, he is pretty big at featherweight. Like I said, let's be honest, these guys are just cam crushing, but he is undefeated to the point, and he has a very big chance at beating Diego Lopez, because John Silva is the most skilled out of all 4 of these guys, and is looking very good. He had a much better performance against Bryce Mitchell than the current lightweight champ Ilya. John Silva had a much better performance. So, you know, that's a very good sign of John Silva being like, hey, if he's having a much better performance than Ilya, and Ilya did beat Volk, John Silva can go on to beat Diego, and then, like I said, he can beat Volk by the beginning of next year, or whoever. If Volk goes on to, I don't know, fight someone else and lose, whoever that is, Diego Lopez John Silva could easily beat that guy as well, whoever's going to be champ by then. So yeah, I don't get the whole narrative of these guys losing and then just being horrible. Literally, what's his name? JDM went on to get out wrestled and just straight up out grappled by Burns, and then JDM went on to defend all of Bilal's takedowns and beat Bilal. And on the other hand, there's also Alex Pereira being able to got him taken down by what's his name? Alex Pereira getting taken down by John Blachowicz, and then, you know, and that was a very close decision, very controversial win by Alex Pereira. And then going into the Ankalaev fight, people were saying, oh, Ankalaev took down John Blachowicz, and John Blachowicz took down Alex Pereira, meaning Ankalaev is gonna take down Alex. Even though Ankalaev did win that fight, Alex defended all those takedowns. So, you know, there's something called improving, especially improving your takedown defense. It's just so stupid. Most of you guys don't even like. It's just you guys suffer from recency bias. A bunch of you, not all of you. Like a lot of you are level-headed, you know, smart people, I guess, or average. Because I would think most of the people that say these guys are frauds are kind of on the slow end. But yeah, or just, I mean, or just casuals. I'm not a hardcore when it comes to like the trivial stuff of MMA. But when it comes to the actual fighting, it does take some. Doesn't like I mean, it does take some brains to like think, like look at this stuff and to be like, oh yeah, like you can come to this conclusion. But it's not hard to just be like, oh, if these guys were able to improve, the fighting nerds are easily able to improve as well. Like it's not crazy to think of that. So yeah, like I said, these guys are not frauds. These guys are not frauds at all. It's just fans being slow and suffering from Mayweather boxing syndrome. Like, oh, I don't get it. These guys, I got John Silva winning for right now, beating Diego Lopez, becoming champ. Rufy, he could literally go on a crazy winning streak after this. Carlos Prates can go on a crazy winning streak. Now, granted, Carlos Prates is at welterweight, meaning there is Sean Brady, there's Bilal, there's Usman, there's Shavkat, and they're all really good grapplers. So, yikes. But anyways, Kyle, he's got. I mean, I don't know. Like they could go on crazy winning streaks. There's much lower chance of them becoming champs. But bro, calling them frauds is so dumb. Just a little rant because I just wanted to come out with a video today. Just a little rant. And yeah, I don't not like what I'm seeing from some people just saying calling these guys frauds. But yeah, hope you guys liked the video and goodbye.